Okay, guys, thanks for being here. We have Guillermo Gonzalez, we have Stuart Venable. I'm Brian. It says Blake. I am not Blake. And we just kind of want to run through our latest Texas trip. We were in the Texas Hill Country, New Braunfels to be exact. And we had a great time running different rivers and stuff like that. We are missing Ray Martinez and Will Reed aren't here with us right now, but they were on the trip and they have some great stuff. You'll see them kind of in the photos and in the synopsis for each day. So thanks for being here, guys. I kind of just want to run day by day through each one and kind of give people some insight in like what it looks like to be on a NuCanoe shoot, like what are we doing each day, like all that kind of stuff. So I'll start off with the Ladybird because that was our first destination. It was my first time in Texas. I like flew in, met you guys. We like rigged up the next day. It took us like half a day, and then we hit Ladybird. So, from your guys' perspective, like what was that kind of intro like? Like getting on there. Like, gee, I know you don't spend a lot of time on the U10, right?
That was actually my very first time, aside from demoing it, actually getting to spend like an extended amount of time on a U10, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was honestly, it was the perfect, it was a perfect platform for what we were doing, in terms of just like hitting a lot of different water types all in one. It just gives you the versatility that you need. And we were also kind of moving around really fast, going from place to place, and those boats were nice, lightweight, compact enough that they were easy to just kind of move around and go from place to place very easily.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool launch. You come, I don't think I've seen something like that before. It was a launch, but it also had like the trail right there. So we like stopped early and then like walked them down kind of the drainage and then like dumped them in. I was thankful it was U10s. I was like, man, fully loaded unlimited can get a little heavy. Like these U10s make it pretty light for like walking that last distance.
Yeah, it was nothing for us out there.
Stu, you were in the Flint, right? That first day?
Um, I yeah, it was. Yep.
Yeah, you were in the Flint. How did you do like kind of navigating into you seemed like you were kind of backed into those trees a lot of the time and you kind of like took off up lake.
Yeah, so maybe what are they? It's familiar. Um, it's sort of we're back
So I have
there.
no idea what you're saying.
Can you hear me?
You're cutting
Kind of
out pretty
now.
good.
Kind of now. Is that better?
Yeah, it is better.
Okay. Um, but yeah, I was looking for water that looked like home. So trying to find some backwater with some current in it, eddies, things like that. Anything that I was used to fishing. And I'm very lucky to have spent sea time in both the Flint and the Union at this point. But basically just looking for home water, stuff that looked familiar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it paid off. Like you got hit a couple times that first day, and then throughout the trip, like you definitely got in probably the highest volume of fish, I think, of like anybody on the trip. Like you got some good time on the water, man.
Yeah. Um, you know, put me on a river and I'll do what I know how to do. I may not always
Do the
do it
Venable
well,
way,
but
man.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, so that first day, the real highlight for me was Ray hooking that 7 pounder, man. Like I was paddle based, so I was paddling up, and I just see we got Will jumping in. I think we got Will here. Will's pretty tied up right now. He's gonna try to join us, I think, with audio. He's doing some disaster relief over in North Carolina. So we're really happy to have him. And man, thanks for all the things you're doing right now.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully I don't really have a way to mute my mic while I'm doing this, but yeah, we made a run into Asheville last night. It literally looks like a bombed city. And we because we were able to make it in with the emergency vehicles, a ton of radio cell, everything's down, so everyone's using like amateur radio ham towers. Because we were able to make it in, they're reaching out to us asking for like water, baby formula, everything. So we're making another road today, and then we're gonna make one tomorrow, and we're gonna probably keep on doing it until we can't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's insane, man. Well, again, I'm glad you're able to make those runs in there and get supplies. And thanks for joining us. If at any point you need to drop out, man, just drop out. But what we're
Yeah,
talking
when I-
about is day
running
one.
Ripple to drop her off.
Oh, nice. We're going through day one right now on Ladybird. We kind of just wrapped it up talking about how awesome it was. Ray hooked that 7-pounder, running up there, got some killer photos. Check those out down below. We have Ray just lipping that 7-pounder with Austin in the background. That was really the main goal going into Ladybird, was that urban background. It's a gorgeous city. Showcase that ability to go after work, truck, walk down the drainage ditch, get it in there, and go. So that brings us to kind of day two, which was the bread and butter of this trip, which is gonna be the rivers in the Texas Hill Country. I mean, that's what it's known for, right? These skinny rivers, clear water. We hit the Guadalupe. We did some switch ups. I'll start with the G here. G, you were in the U10 that day? You were in the Flint.
No, I was in the U10 that day.
You were still in the U10. Yeah. How did it go? You were in the U10 on the Guadalupe.
Oh man, it was awesome. I didn't realize that a boat like that would handle. Now we didn't run any crazy rapids or anything, but I mean we ran a few things and we had a little fun out there running like some some faster water, and I was pretty shocked how easy it was to run all that stuff, and never once did I feel like I was unsafe in that boat. And in addition to that, fishing out of it on a river like that was kind of a dream.
Yeah, it was awesome. We kind of leapfrogged each other. You would go down, we'd meet back up with you. The cypress trees coming over the top made awesome little runways. Like, I was blown away, man, with the beauty, and then also just running the boats through there, man.
Yeah, it's really hard to argue how unique some of those hill country rivers are in the sense of how they look. I don't know of many other places really on earth that look like that have these just like ultra tall cypress lined little creeks almost that you can kind of run through it. It looks like I mean it looks like something out of a dream, really.
Yeah, and we didn't drag much through the whole process. I think there's one spot we had to drag a little bit. I don't even know. I think we ran most of it that first spot, and then we were pretty good from there. Like, it had a decent amount of water. Like, it was good flows, man. Stu, do I gotcha? I was gonna say, how was running the quad for you, man? I know that's where you got your first quad.
So yeah, I've had I guess, I've been able to live the dream, as G said, and I've fished those rivers a couple times over the years, and count down the minutes till I can go back every single time. To Guillermo's point, it is one of the most beautiful places, and having been very fortunate to fish a lot of rivers around the entire country, it is absolutely one of the top places for me to fish, regardless of the size of the fish. The setting and the type of water that you can fish is unmatched and unparalleled in my mind for the beauty of the area, hands down.
Yeah, yeah, it was great, man. Will, you were shooting. How was shooting on the quad?
It reminds me of rivers out west, but instead of being just boulders and like desert, you have these towering cypress trees coming over top of you, which really was, I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. I didn't really get to fish it much, so I can't really comment on that, but the way I mean, it reminds me of a big freestone river almost, but then with cypress trees and kind of a little jungle mixed in with it. It was, I mean, it was a beautiful setting. I mean, it was one of the prettier rivers I'd been on for sure. I just wish I had been on it before, to where I knew where the cypress part was, because a couple of the spots that I wanted to shoot more than in place on that river, I didn't have my camera out at the time. Like, we made it through that one section past that dog leg 90 to the left. It was a beautiful river.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, check out the photos down below. We have those. We'll be adding, depending on when you're watching this, G has some really great photos too. Those will get thrown in the mix down below. So just sift through, see those areas if you want to get an idea of what these rivers are like. Pushing to the next day, after the quad, we did the San Marcos, right? That was the next day? We're on day 3.
Yep, it was.
San Marcos. Similar but different river. This was a lot more dragging. We were like running upriver, motoring the pools, dragging the shallows, like just dropping down. For me, those NKs really were amazing, because like you drag the shallows with it up, and then you drop it down and just motor up the pool, and then you do the same thing and just keep going. We got all the way up to that spillway. I know for me, that was probably the highlight of my trip was playing with that spillway, and then we had the rope swing, we had Ray jumping off, like after dragging up river, like, it was a nice relaxing time. We got some awesome photos. Check them down below. I'll start with Stu here because we have a real nice picture of Stu really working the end of that spillway. So Stu, can you tell us what that was like?
I think you mean I got worked by the spillway. No, it was a lot of fun, man. It's one of the great things about working with NuCanoe is it's a family. I know we all say that a bunch, but it was like hanging out with family. Cutting up and being able to really just enjoy more than just worrying about the fishing. We've all said the scenery was great, but having an incredible backdrop, great people to hang out with. Truly being able to access that only by kayak. We can truly say that. And that made it unique, and that's what made it special. But yeah, the spillway got the best of me, but it was still a lot of fun.
Well, dude, it was the same thing, man. We both ran it twice, and the first time got worked, and the second time we made it. Like, we got through. Those are great photos. You should, if you only do one thing after like watching this, you should check out the photos down below of the spillway. There's some epic ones and some really good ones. I remember Stu, like, we got done and I was like, Stu, like, when you fell at the end, like, I reached out and like G and I were there to help. And then I looked back at the photos and I at least was not. I was just laughing and holding a camera, like, I think in like this pose, staring at you.
If by help you mean staring with a really like devious grin at me as I got destroyed, then yes, come on, thank you.
100%. Yeah. Count me anytime for help on that. G, what was like running the quad for you, the San Marcos?
Well, let me just say, I had just as much fun. I got to take a few more photos on the San Marcos. I had just as much fun photographing that as I'm sure y'all had actually doing that. That was super cool. The San Marcos was kind of the river that I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did, if that makes sense. Like, I've ran the San Marcos before, but I've only kind of ever done it in areas with a lot of tubers, and I kind of expected that, but we found like our own little nook that didn't have as many tubers, and it really felt like we, especially once we got to that spillway, it felt like we had the river to ourselves, and we just had a ton of fun. I mean, those boats really helped us get away from the crowds and just get to some water where we could just enjoy the day.
Well, I think that was a big thing for me in Texas. Like, it's different than out here in the West. Like, the whole river is pretty much private. So, but you can use the river, but the sides, all the land is private. So it was a really cool to use the kayaks to access this thing that they don't have public access points on them. So we were able to get away, like you're talking about, kind of be in our own spot and just play around. I remember when we showed up to the spillway, we're like, oh, dude, like, I don't know if I'm gonna run it. And then we watched this 12-year-old come up, go to the top, stop, and then just tip in and run it. And we're like, oh.
Y'all got to remind me to send photos of that little kid or that kid's dad.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we got some epic photos. It was a good time. I had a huge smile on my face. And then when we got to the top and saw the rope swing, I was like a kid again. It was just, we like ran kayaks all day, hit a rope swing, ran a spillway, like fished. I was like, this is literally 10-year-old Brian's dream right here in a day. And I just feel like it's like that child wonder, man. That's why it keeps me kayak fishing. It's just experiencing these new things and getting cool places.
I agree.
So that kind of wraps up San Marcos, which brings us to the last day where we make a couple audibles here. Where did we end up that last day?
Oh,
the last
Loco.
The Loco. This is the day Ray brought his kids, man. We ran the Loco. That was a huge transition. So the Flint really, in my opinion, took the quad and the San Marcos as like clear, like running their white water, pulling upstream, just really killed it. Then we switched to really U10 territory, in my opinion. Like, we were running the lower Colorado and it was wide, a little bit slower, pulling off, fishing the edges and stuff like that. Gee, you got on some good fish. You were running the U10, right?
Yes. And It was an awesome boat for that river. The lower Colorado was just so different from all of those other rivers. And in its own, and it was really cool in its own way. It was a much wider river. And we caught it on a good day. It was flowing pretty good. Um, and yeah, absolutely. That U10, the lower Colorado is probably a little bit more of like a technical fishery, so to speak. Like you got to be just really precise about the casts you make and things like that. And that's where, the stability and the fishability of the U10 just really shined. The more confident that you feel with the rod in your hand, the better a cast you're gonna make. And it really wound up being perfect for that river.
Yeah. Will, Stu, Loco, how'd that go for you guys?
I caught my first quad.
You did get your first go out there, man.
I got 3 for the day. Got some good photos. It was definitely a bluebird bright day, but that river it's almost like a jungle because you had, I don't know the names of the Texas grass, but the grass growing out of the river on every sandbar as opposed to just a bare sandbar, mixed with huge elephant ears on the side of the bank and just real thick canopy. And then in some areas, sadly, it's from erosion, but you would have, 100-foot towering like mud cliffs on the side. It's a pretty fishery for being told it's not one of the prettier fisheries in Texas. I would say it's one of the prettier fisheries in other states. Like if you were to compare it, I'm trying to think of the way to put it into good wording. My brain's not really working right now, but no, I mean it was still a very pretty fishery.
Yeah, dude, I like that there was cows. Like we rolled up and like I don't think I don't have a lot of that where I was like fishing. We got that really cool picture of Logan, right? Like Logan City. You should check it out down below. But Logan's fishing and there's just a cow like right behind Logan, which to you Texans is probably not a big deal. You're like, yeah, there's cows everywhere. But like that was kind of cool. Like it could have licked him, dude. If a guy like leaned forward, it was like right there. Stu, Loco, you were in a Flint. How'd that go?
Yeah, so the lower Colorado definitely fishes more like the rivers back home. A little bit bigger, a little bit slower. To Guillermo's point, a little bit more technical. Um, so again, in my own way, I felt pretty much at home. We do fish around cows, so that was no big deal. But always fun to interact with the wildlife, even if it is somewhat domesticated. But got into a few the Guadalupe bass, the wads, caught a few good sized ones, and you know, really fun to experience the diversity of different fisheries in that area. You go an hour in any direction, fishing something totally different, which is always fun.
Yeah, honestly, like, that was a really cool, unique fish hook. I don't fish rivers quite like that very often, so it was great. I got to hook into a couple nice ones. I didn't get anything to the boat that was super decent, but I got worked on a couple fish, got wrapped up on some stuff. So I mean, it was just a great time floating, hanging with all you guys. So that kind of wraps up the main part of the shoot. Will and I the next morning were able to jump out and get some content. That was a madhouse, man. You'll see that stuff down below. We got some great content, but it was just like running through things. So I guess I'll throw it to Will real quick, man, if you got a sec. That last day, the mad dash before we went to TG Canoe, which again, huge shout out TG Canoe for like supporting us. Alex over there like hooked us up with everything we needed. We were like missing a paddle. He got it for us. We needed some advice on spots. He gave it to us. But Will, that last day, man, you like the picture I threw the flint over your head. I remember we had like 10 seconds left, and you're like, Brian, take my
Last day
camera.
content. Last day content days. Wrap up the shots we need to get. That was actually, I would have liked to have fished that, and supposedly in downtown New Braunfels there's a tube chute which I would like to run a flint through. I don't know if they would allow it, but I mean that was kind of like a back home river almost, like crystal clear, see the fish swimming under you, big rock formations in the water. So you have rock troughs that are 3 to 5 feet deep with like 1 foot shallows on the sides of it. That's what I'm used to fishing. So I wish I could have fished it really more than what we did. I mean, we just messed around a little bit with a fly rod, but no, that was a beautiful river, and anyone that lives in like New Braunfels definitely should. I'd be on that every day of the week for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to do a shameless plug here. That photo of Will lifting the flint, I took that, and if you know anything, like if I'm on the camera, the C team is in. Like I'm not the guy to run the camera. So if you want to show that photo some love and share it, that'd be great because then I could prove to Will that I'm not as bad. So that would be great. I mean, I did use all of his settings and it was just basically my finger pulling the trigger, but shameless plug. Good photo, you know? That's all I'm saying.
Hey man, master photographer, you did a good job.
Let's go. Okay, before we wrap up here, I want to give a huge that barbecue. G, you and Ray, that is some of the best food I have ever had in my entire life. Do you remember the name of that barbecue spot, G?
Blacks. Carl Blacks.
Blacks.
No, Blacks. Just Blacks. Terry Blacks, I think. Barbecue.
My God, that I almost cried with the peach cobbler. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was a long day.
It was delicious.
I like stood up, came back down, you guys eating cobbler. I took a bite and I was like, this is it. Like, I want to move to Texas for this. I'm gonna be a 400
Not
pound
the
just
only one,
eating
man.
peach cobbler the whole time, man. But overall, guys, I mean, I had a great time. The shoot went amazing. We got tons and tons of content. It's one of my favorite ones we've done. It was awesome hanging out with you guys. I can't wait to go back to the Texas Hill Country. Final thoughts, kind of jumping around real quick. Like, let's start with Will. So you kind of, oh. G, go
I'm
this
here.
way.
I'm here.
Oh, Will, final
I'm
thoughts.
pumping gas at the county fuel dock trying to get my truck ready because we have 60-gallon tanks to make it up there and back.
That is wild. Okay, just like last couple minutes, and then you could cut out, man. What were your thoughts on the shoot, the location, everything?
I love it. I think Texas, I mean, what is it? The biggest state, or I think Alaska's the only bigger state. And for its size, I think you could do 10 shoots in there and not see the same thing twice. So I mean, the fishery was diverse from fishing 60-degree water where there's a possibility of trout in central Texas to then going and fishing the Colorado River that people don't even really, if you're not in Texas, don't even think the Colorado River's in Texas. So, I mean, the diversity of the fishery, the different types of fish you can get, I thought it was a great shoot. It was beautiful. I would love to do it again. If we did it again, I'd be putting my name in the hat to be one of the first guys to be there.
Yeah. Yep. G, what I mean, you fished there a number of times, man, but how do you feel like the shoot went?
I think Will hit the nail on the head, you know, in terms of just the diversity of what we got to experience. And kind of in addition to that, like it being my first time in the U10, I was just really impressed in the way that it handled those particular water types. And I'm really looking forward to spending a lot more time in that boat.
Yeah. That's awesome. Stu.
I was actually impressed. Not Stu can have his time here, but I'm gonna have to go in a second. I was impressed with the U10 as well. Like my first time being in it, I was kind of worried about stability. Like when I'm shooting with a camera, you know, I'm leaning over the side of the boat, standing up, laying down, holding the camera an inch off the water, just kind of classic shots. And I was really worried about you're losing 2 feet essentially of boat, and stability wise, I barely saw a difference at all.
Yeah. I feel the same way about the U10 versus Unlimited. It's like my favorite boat and has since it came out. That's when I salmon fish off of it. I do everything off the U10. Stu, wrap up thought, man.
So to echo what the other guys have said, it's such an incredible, diverse area. Not just for the rivers themselves, but the wildlife, the scenery, the people are incredible. Definitely one of the most fun experiences working with a new crew. And yeah, I'll probably have to get in a fight with Will to see who gets the first spot on the next flight out. So can't wait to do it again. And really, really, truly a great experience.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks all of you guys making the time. G showing us Texas, man. It was awesome. Huge shout out to Ray. You're not here right now, but thanks for all the stuff and showing us around. Be on the lookout next. We are going to the Northeast. We're gonna be hanging out with like Brundle, Jake, all those guys up there. So that's coming up actually this week or in the past if you're watching this then. And then we'll be in Cali this year. So then that moves us into 2025. We'll have some great stuff. You'll see these faces again. And thanks, guys. I really appreciated it.
Thank you so much, Brian.